podcast on the F word is future planning, and we've got with us today Chris Whitley from Figure Consulting. Hello.
Hello, nice to be here.
Thank you for coming in. And we're going to talk today around future planning and strategy because that's what your business does.
Absolutely, yes.
Are you able to give us a little bit of background about Figure 8?
Yeah, sure. So I started Figure 8 back in 2022 now, and it really came out of me having done lots of work around strategy and helping businesses make changes, the changes that they wanted to make. But I wanted to do it in my way, and I wanted to do it in a way that was true to how I think businesses should do it. And so I had the opportunity to start working with a client who I knew from a previous engagement, and it kind of went from there.
And we were talking just before we started filming about strategy and people's maybe perception of what that means. How would you best summarize that?
Yeah, sure. So strategy for me is all about kind of defining your direction as a business. And I kind of split it down into 5 sections. So it's all about what you want to achieve, why you want to achieve it, how you're going to do it, when you're going to do it, and who you need to help you. For me, and kind of for Figure 8, strategy needs to be simple. It doesn't need to be like thousands of pages of a document that then gets put on a shelf and lost to cobwebs for the rest of the year or for the decade. It's really about something that's a working kind of tool for you to use in your business to really help you make the decisions that you want to make. So whatever you're doing in your business, whatever decisions you want to make should be driven by what you're trying to achieve and why you're trying to achieve that.
And can you give us an example of the sort of things that it may be something down the smaller end of strategy and then maybe something a little bit more extensive that clients might come to you for?
Yeah, sure. So generally, we work with clients when they're either starting a new business or a new venture, when they recognize the need for change. So there might be a change in their market, or there might be external factors, Brexit or COVID, things like that, where they recognize a need to adapt what they need to do from their business. Or the other thing is when they want to grow. So when they know that actually they're in a position where there's a really good opportunity for them to build their business and to push things further, that's a really good time to kind of take a step back, work on, not in your business, and really think about what you want to achieve and why you want to achieve it. So from my perspective and how we work is, at the smaller end, that could be something as simple as saying, right, in 3 years' time, we want to achieve growth of X%, or we want to break into a new market. So some of that's around the business planning, and we do help alongside you guys. We help businesses do that as well. But a lot of it is then saying, right, so in order to achieve that vision, what do you need to achieve? So what outcomes do you need to achieve as a business? So that could be a revenue target. It could be kind of staffing. What do you want your people to from an employee engagement perspective, how do you want to kind of benefit that? It could be around breaking into a new market. All of those things break down into the outcome. So how are you going to achieve what your vision is? And then from there, it's really going into the detail. So what do you need to do in order to deliver those outcomes? What decisions do you need to make? What are there any sort of projects or things like that you need to deliver into your business, or get new systems or processes, things like that, that can really drive where you're going to be going ultimately? And then at the larger end, it could be working with bigger businesses who need to change. And so I've worked with some large organizations where we help them set up kind of huge transformation programs where they're looking to make wholesale changes to how their business operates, or the systems and the technology that they use, all of which affect their people. And fundamentally, a lot of the work that we do is not so much on the technical side, but it's about actually whatever you're changing, what does that mean for your business? What does that mean for your people? And how can you make sure that as a leader, you are supporting them to be confident and comfortable in whatever's changing in the future?
So it sounds like it's looking at those goals that entrepreneurs have around their business or a board might have around the business and breaking them down into much simpler or easier to manage tasks
Absolutely.
so that actually the time and the resource and the energy you're putting into your business is all going towards one kind of direction.
Completely. And we talk about it, it's a little bit consultancy, but we talk about it as like having a golden thread.
Yeah.
So you go from right down to an activity that you might do in your marketing space through to, well, okay, so we're doing that activity, but what does that deliver for us?
Yeah.
What outcome does that achieve for the business? And how does that link into the vision that we're trying to achieve? And so everyone in the business, if you're doing it well and you're engaging your business, everyone in the business should be able to see what value they're delivering and how they're going to support you guys and the business in achieving your vision.
And I guess that then helps you identify areas that maybe aren't working for you. So they're actually not complementary to those goals you've put in place, and then you can identify that as an area to save time, productivity, money, and those sorts of things. So as much as identifying what's good, you can look at actually what isn't aligning to the
Exactly.
strategy.
So one example of that is we've been working with a business based down here in Cornwall, and we actually identified some stuff that doesn't help them achieve what they wanted to in their vision.
Mhm.
And so they're now putting steps in place to reduce the amount of work that they're doing in that area because it's not a priority anymore. So, and they're able to kind of, I guess, redeploy or use that capacity that was taken up by that non-value adding stuff and move it into a space that's actually delivering more for them now than they were before.
And yeah, I think that that's key because people get drawn into, especially like business owners, and I'm guilty of this, into doing like passion projects. So,
Yeah, for sure.
so I love doing this because it makes me feel good. I love, and that's okay. That's okay if it aligns with your values.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily need to be to the end goal, but if you've got too many of those passion projects, I guess you're stagnating your own growth, or you're sort of got a stumbling block or stunting your own journey, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. And I think we spoke a bit before about actually a lot of businesses, especially when they're starting up, will say yes to everything because
Hmm.
actually you're just trying to get things off the ground or you want to make things work, and that's fine for a period of time because you need to establish yourself. But over that period of time, you then need to become or you need to demonstrate specialism, or you might need to demonstrate like a niche skill or experience that you can bring in. Um, and that is then where you should be looking at actually what do I want to achieve from this business? What do we want to be known for? And you can really hone in on that.
Yeah.
And as hard as it might seem sometimes, you can then start saying no to things or start saying, well, actually, that's not quite what we're looking to do, or it's not within our wheelhouse. Let me refer you to someone else, or let me give you a recommendation to someone that can help you. And that a lot of the time can give you more, I guess, legitimacy when you're in business because you're not just trying to do everything.
Yeah.
You've got your specialism, but you're also helping clients that would otherwise not get that help.
And I'm grinning because as we've been doing this series of podcasts, every single guest that's come on to talk to me has identified that as their kind of their tips or their takeaways from running a business is around identifying what you're good at and why you started and where your specialisms are, and don't give in to the temptation of being everything to everyone, and stick with your values and things. So yeah, you've icing on the cake that you've that you've said that without being prompted.
That's it.
And so we're talking lots about other businesses that you work with. How about your own business and why you started, what your sort of plans are, how you found being a business owner, especially in Cornwall?
Yeah, sure. So how I started. So I've worked in this space, I guess, for over a decade now, but always in other people's businesses or in house or for larger businesses, and doing this sort of helping businesses plan or delivering kind of key projects and big changes for them in their organizations. And 2.5 years ago, we moved back down to the southwest, had children, etc., etc., and I really wanted to do something that I could be proud of, but also that where I could make a difference in the way that I wanted to. So I always felt, whilst I felt like I was enjoying my work and I was doing the right thing from my perspective, I wasn't quite doing it how I wanted to all the time. So that was one aspect. And then the other aspect for starting Figure Eight, and so Figure Eight focuses on helping businesses in the Southwest. And the reason for that is I moved away to go to university, and it was really hard to move back and do the things that I'm now doing at the time. And so it's taken a lot of work for us to get back into the Southwest and get back into Cornwall specifically. And so for me, it's all about then helping grow businesses in Cornwall and in the Southwest, helping to, I guess, develop the economy to an extent in my own little way. Um, but also, I guess, fly the flag for all businesses in Cornwall, not just kind of I guess the preconception at the moment is Cornwall and the Southwest is dominated by tourism and this, that, and the
Mhm.
other. Whilst, yes, that is a massive sector for us, actually, it equates to a kind of a less than significant percentage of what we are
Mm.
about in this part of the world.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's all about kind of flying the flag for everyone, not just what people think that we're known for.
Yeah, I think people think, oh, it's hotels and surf schools and those sorts of things. And where we have some incredible examples of those, our creative industry, for example, our renewables. We're getting pretty much put on the map for those moving
Absolutely.
forward. Manufacturing,
Yeah.
I've really had my eyes opened, I think, over the last decade to actually the breadth of, and diversity of the business community we have down here. And there's around 45,000 registered businesses on Companies House that are registered in the Southwest. So that's limited companies. And then you think about all the sole traders and partnerships outside of that
Completely.
in an area of the world that isn't densely populated. To have that amount of businesses, it really is a hub, albeit we're in our own little corner. I think that it's great that people like yourself are able to kind of bang the drum and say, actually, look what we're doing.
Yeah, and I think one specific sector is the tech sector.
Yeah.
So it's a booming business down here at the moment, and I think Cornwall and the Southwest is second only maybe to London in terms of the size of the economy when it comes to the tech sector.
Yeah.
So it's huge, and you look at the things like the spaceport and things going on there. There's so much potential in the area, and so I guess, as I said, in my own small way, it's about trying to kind of help those businesses develop and set where they want to go, make sure they've got a clear direction and help them get there.
Do you find that through your strategy planning, you're also able to hone into your own connections and say, actually, I can not only can I help you address this problem in terms of work out what you need to do, I can maybe find the people that are going to be able to do that work.
Absolutely. That's probably a big, or that is a big part of what I do. So like we said earlier, I can't do everything. I don't do everything. I'm very bad at a lot of things. But like I know some brilliant accountants, for example.
Hey.
But yeah, exactly. So a big part of what I do is that networking piece. So being part of the chamber and other networks in Cornwall and the Southwest is really about growing that network. So we moved down here and I didn't have a business network. I'd always worked in the north of England predominantly, and then in Somerset. So I didn't really have a big network here. So a lot of what I was doing last year, especially in the first year of business, was then growing that network and understanding what's out there. There's so many amazing people that support other businesses, as you said, in the creative space, or kind of doing like web design or loads of other things like that, where just finding those connections and connecting people to them. I think we're all here to live on this planet, I guess, ultimately, and have a good life. So let's kind of like build each other up rather than trying to hoard business for ourselves.
Yeah, I think that collaboration over competition is
Yeah.
something that we've spoken a lot about.
Yeah,
Actually
massively.
working together to achieve something, a shared purpose. There's more than enough work to go round for everyone. It's just
Absolutely.
identifying what works for you and the best fit,
Yeah,
I
definitely.
guess. And I think, in sort of touching on what you said about networking, we do it really well down here. I think that I don't have a huge amount of sort of awareness of how it's done elsewhere, but what I've heard from other people and the small bits that I have done through kind of national platforms, through like our regulatory body and things, is down here it just feels different. Do
I
you
think
agree?
I think it feels a lot more natural. I think
Yeah.
that's probably what I would say. So I've done a lot of stuff in previous lives in London, and then as I said in the north, and it all feels, whilst you make connections, I think it's all very business based almost, which is not a bad thing. But I think down here, certainly what I found through meeting people is you connect on a personal level and then you talk about business.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important, especially for me. So if you've ever done your color works, if
Yeah.
you look at what you are, so I'm hugely green, and
Okay.
what that means. So I'm basically just a huge people person, people
Yeah.
pleaser sometimes, which means I'd like to get to know people on a personal level. And I think particularly for me, where I'm working with kind of business owners or people that are leading larger businesses or larger teams, things like that, you need to understand what motivates them as well. So
Hmm.
having a business strategy is as much about what your values are as well. So what are you wanting to achieve out of this? Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time, not just the business? And you should make your business work for you, not the other way around.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's been a common theme. And I think I'm predominantly red with a bit of yellow. So if that's a surprise, I'm not sure.
Not really.
So going back to Figure Eight and future plans, is there any sort of big things on the horizon? Where does your strategy, where are you kind of bedding in? What do you want to be doing
Yeah,
next?
so for me, it's really about building my network and meeting people and getting out there and trying to help Cornwall in the Southwest, really. So I have plans to kind of build the business and continue growing. What I'd really like to do over the next few years is start to develop either apprenticeships or grad schemes in this area, in kind of like strategy and change management, because that's the way that I see we're going to be able to develop kind of the future of not just Figure Eight, but of kind of business in the Southwest, is by offering those things. And I know like Cornwall College and lots of places are offering some really kind of good support for businesses to set up those schemes. And so for me, that's what I want to focus on, to give people the opportunities that maybe we growing up didn't have. And that's why we started our own businesses, right? So,
Yeah.
and look at kind of sharing those skills. But more than anything, I want to make sure that what Figure Eight does is truly flexible for people. It's done in an authentic way, and it's done in a transparent way. So, all of those three things, kind of one of the things that I say to clients is I will only work with them when I know that they need me or Figure Eight at the point that they need us most. You see and you hear horror stories, and I don't like using the word consultancy sometimes, or consultant, because you hear stories about how actually they're kind of like they get in
Yeah.
and then they expand, and then all of a sudden half your business is
And you're so
consultants, and
reliant
you're
on
so
them.
reliant on them, and
Yeah.
you're spending, you're kind of fracturing money to this consultancy or to this business where you don't really know what you're getting for it. And so really for me, the mantra is about how I can support businesses in the most effective way, at the point they need us, and then we're always there for them. But actually it's about kind of building them up to then build the capabilities that they need to be able to do it themselves. They
Yeah.
shouldn't have to rely on Figure Eight to continue doing it. It's about sharing the expertise and then letting them sort of blossom and flourish.
Absolutely. And I think that's might be something that's at the back of people's minds when they think about consultants per se, or getting outsourcing anything
Outsourcing anything, yeah,
really,
definitely.
whether it's your accountancy, your marketing, or something more strategy based, is how do I know that they're going to be able to add value
Yeah,
and make a difference whilst me not costing me an arm and a leg and able to
yeah.
do that. So I think it's, yeah, again, through building networks and knowing the person that you've got
A-
coming in.
And I think it's about understanding the return on the investment ultimately. So I talk a lot about with clients or with kind of like prospects, things like that, is about um, it's about outcomes, not outputs.
Yep.
So whenever we do a piece of work for someone, it's always on a fixed cost basis. We don't charge by the hour or by the day, because ultimately what I want to be able to say is you're paying this because we're a business, you're investing in this, but what you're getting is an output, and the output achieves this outcome,
Yeah.
which is really driving the kind of I guess the hard stuff, and then the softer stuff, which is actually what does that mean for your business. So
Yeah.
if you get a strategic document at the end of it, or a strategic plan, the outcome for that is that you as a business leader have real clarity in where you want to go and how you want to get there. And then following on from that, you can use that to make your decisions.
Yeah.
So it's really about driving those outcomes, as opposed to, oh, I'm paying however
Yeah.
much for a document that's going to tell me what
On
to
a
do in my
day rate
business.
of
Yeah,
this, or
exactly.
yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, for business owners, it's accountability. And speaking from my own personal, as you know, is when you are the MD, the CEO, or a senior leader in a business, it's, or even a sole trader, it's, who are you accountable to other
Completely.
than yourself? And when you are in the thick of it and there's a lot going on and you're spinning a lot of plates, being able to say, actually, this is really important for what reasons you were just saying, the outcome of this task or project, or
Yeah.
bit of work that I need to do will mean this, and it will open doors here, or it will allow me to progress in a way, and I need to prioritize it. So having someone like yourself come in and say, right, what is it we want to achieve? And critical friend, I think, is a bit of a buzzword,
I
and
say
maybe
I say
not one you
business
want.
buddy.
Business
Business
buddy,
buddy.
much nicer,
Yeah,
much
yeah,
softer.
yeah.
But having someone who says, we've agreed this, like you've
Absolutely.
agreed it, and I'm here to kind of keep you accountable,
Yeah.
I think is so, so important. I mean, I have Rox as well here, and Jess, who are sort of fellow directors, and they're really good at saying, hang on a minute, we decided we were going to do this. But
Yeah.
again, sometimes you just need someone who can detach themselves from the emotion of your business,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but still has your business interests at
Definitely.
heart.
So two of the things that I say that we are is, so we offer objectivity, um, which means that ultimately I get to play dumb and I get to ask loads of stupid questions. But what it gets, hopefully for the client, is it gets them to the place that they need to be, because they're able to kind of step away out, or have someone step away and look at it from a position that they might not be, because business leaders, we're all invested emotionally in what we're doing, not just kind of rationally.
Mhm.
And so having someone that is, no matter the size of your business, having someone that's like a business buddy, or that is someone that can be objective in what you're doing, is really valuable. And the other thing is, as you touched on, the accountability piece. So one of the biggest things, or the most value that I see that we offer clients, are accountability sessions. So once we've done the strategic stuff, it's then saying, right, who's going to be accountable for what, and then following up with that. Because unless you've got someone who is giving you a kick up the backside, sometimes it can be really hard to not let the operational side take over. And again, we talk about in Figure 8, we talk about strategic versus operational thinking. And so as a leader, you need to be able to do both. And what we try and help people to do is make sure that they're prioritizing that strategic thinking in the right percentages against the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah. And it's so easy to look at that piece of work equals money in the bank because I'm doing it for a client.
Absolutely.
Or someone's off sick and I need to step in here. And you can lose the perspective of what it is you're driving towards. And we're all guilty of it.
And even myself, right? So I,
That's nice to hear.
yeah. So don't practice what, I don't practice what I preach sometimes, but even myself, like I struggle sometimes where I'm not doing, I guess, like I'm not earning money, so to speak, because I'm doing other stuff, but that's all valuable for your business. And I spent some time over the last couple of weeks doing a bit of sort of reflection and planning after finishing a big piece of work. And I've kind of only just now come to the realization, or come to the acceptance, that that's okay. Just because I'm not earning money day in, day out doesn't mean that I'm not focusing on my business and I'm not growing my business. And I think that's the key thing for any business leader, is to recognize that you don't have to be sort of slogging away, making money all the time. Actually, what you need to do as a leader is lead sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's a very poignant kind of thing to think about. And as you said, we're all guilty of it, and especially where you've got your work cut out working with entrepreneurs, because we can be a tough bunch to rein in.
Strong-minded.
Yeah, exactly. At times, because we're off to the next thing before we finish something else. And again, personal experiences, you're always looking at, that's more exciting than maybe something that's on my desk that I should be doing. And I know that we've not addressed the elephant in the room and our own B Corp journey that you're going to help us with. And
we'll talk about it after, it's fine.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I'm setting myself up for that. But I think to kind of just bring it to a close, is there any piece of advice? So anyone that's listened today and thought, actually, hands up, I am guilty of those things. I've maybe been focusing too much sort of in my business, operational level, day to day, sort of earning money. But actually, if I gave myself some breathing space, I could do some good stuff. What would be your piece of advice and to take away?
Yeah, so I think my biggest piece of advice would be, don't overcomplicate it. It doesn't have to be really complex. I think we spoke earlier on, people hear the word strategy and they think it's going to be like diagrams everywhere and it's going to be like documents at hundreds of pages. It really doesn't have to be that. It just needs to focus your mind on what you're trying to achieve, why you're trying to achieve that, and how you're going to do that. And look, we help businesses kind of structure that properly, but if you can get that down on paper, and like we said, writing it down makes you more accountable instantly anyway. But just don't overcomplicate it. Keep it simple. I'm not a clever person, so I like things that are simple anyway. So from my perspective, it's all about making sure that you are invested in what you're trying to achieve. And I think the other one, just a little bonus, is make sure you're taking time out for you as well. So you are not your business. Certainly speaking from personal experience, actually having a bit of time away is really important, and it gives you thinking time. Even if you're not thinking about the day-to-day stuff, it gives you time to think about those bigger pieces. So whenever we look at doing strategy days or strategy sessions with clients, we ask them to take themselves away from the office. So we'll go and I don't know, we'll go and find a shared office space or a conference space that we can use, because it gets people out of that operational mindset and gets them to stop worrying about, or at least stop thinking about things.
It's out of the peripheral vision. They can put it in. Well, I think those are some incredible tips, and I know that you're going to be kind of working with us and our clients on just sharing some more of your insight into how to switch that focus from in to on, which I think we could all do with a bit of. But thank you so much for coming and talking to us about future planning today.
No problem at all.
On the F word.
Thank you very much.